So in IELTS speaking part 1, you'll be asked about yourself, your home, your hometown, your work, your studies, and some other familiar topics. So for example, if you are a full-time student, then the examiner might ask you a few questions about your studies. If you are a full-time employee, then the examiner might ask you a few questions about your work, your colleagues, the projects that you have been working on. Okay. And there will be some familiar topics. For example, talk about your favorite food, or talk about a book, or let's talk about your neighbors. And the examiner will ask you short questions. Now, short questions should be answered briefly. So answer in 3 or 4 sentences. Some candidates try to speak a lot in the introduction because the questions are easier. And some candidates are just under the impression that you have to speak as much as possible in order to get a good score. All right. So it is not the volume, how much you speak. It's how well, how clearly you can speak. All right. So don't try to give long answers. 3 or 4 sentences will suffice. In part 1, the examiner has a set of questions that he or she will ask you. So, and the examiners are not really looking for lengthy answers here. Okay. There will be questions about your personal preferences and opinions. So you need to understand how to provide your opinion or how to explain your preferences smartly. Okay. So it is your opinion. So there is no right or wrong answer in part 1. You cannot say, I don't know. In part 1, I don't know cannot be an answer. You have to give a response because these are your opinion. You can say, I don't like it. You can say, I like it. You can say, I have never tried it. But you cannot say, I don't know. All right. Now, it is very important to use formal language. Do not use informal language. For example, yeah, I wanna, I'm gonna, I gotta, right? This kind of informal expressions. And there are others as well. Some formal and informal expressions might be confusing for you. You might think, okay, so how would I understand whether something is formal or informal? So the solution for this problem is very simple. If you want to use a phrase or a particular word in the exam, try to use it in the video presentations that you will provide during this course. Also try to use it in class and during the mock tests so that I can give you a feedback. If something is informal, I will let you know that this is not going to fly in the real exam. All right. And in the exam, if you are unsure about something, whether it is formal or informal, then try to avoid it. There is no marks deducted for something that you have not used. Okay. But if you use something incorrectly, then of course it is going to be counted as a negative. Now, speak clearly in proper pronunciation. Pronunciation accounts for 25% of the total speaking score. So your pronunciation needs to be as much accurate as possible. It doesn't need to be flawless. It is not going to be flawless because you are not a native speaker, neither am I. So there will be some errors and there are margin of errors. Even someone who is getting a band 9 out of 9 is not expected to speak perfectly throughout the test. There is a bit of leeway there, all right? So try to use proper pronunciation, but don't try to fake any accent. This whole concept of using American, British, or any other kind of accent, or accent being a part of your speaking evaluation is a complete myth. Don't try to fake any accent. Speak in a very clear, formal, and flat tone, okay? And of course, speak slowly. That is the one takeaway that is a must for everyone. You have to speak slowly. You have to slow yourself down. You have to calm yourself down, reduce the stress, okay? Remember, in speaking, like in any other situation, the stress or anxiety that you feel at first comes from your physical condition. So how are you sitting? How are you gesticulating? Your posture? All of these will contribute towards the amount of stress and anxiety you feel. Okay? So আপনি যদি খুব জড়সড় হয়ে বসেন, খুব বেশি কাচুমাচু হয়ে থাকেন, আপনার যদি তৃষ্ণা থাকে, হ্যাঁ, কথা বলার সময় আপনার গলা শুকিয়ে যায়, এগুলো সবই কিন্তু আপনাকে আরো বেশি অ্যাংজাইটির দিকে ঠেলে দিবে। সো আপনাকে রিল্যাক্স হয়ে বসতে হবে। And IELTS speaking test, you have to take it via Zoom, just like we are conducting a class now via Zoom. The same thing happens in IELTS speaking test if you go for online exam. And I highly recommend that you take the online speaking test because, first of all, there is a high likelihood that you are going to get a foreign examiner, which is a good thing. Foreign examiners are much more forgiving, in my experience, towards non-native speakers. And number 2, as you are going to take this course via Zoom and you're going to face mock test and give video presentation. So you're going to be quite comfortable in front of a webcam. All right. However, there is one condition, as some of you have already taken the IELTS test, if you have taken the online speaking test, that you have to put both your hands in front of the camera so that both your palms are visible. Okay. It is to prohibit anybody from copying something or, getting any help. So what you can do is when you sit in front of the computer, the laptop, make sure to adjust your sitting position so that your hands can comfortably rest on the table. So for example, if you're too far back and your hand is on the table, then it is a very uncomfortable position to be in for 15, 20 minutes almost, right? So try to at first adjust your sitting position, adjust your chair so that you can sit comfortably and your hands are visible to the examiner. Okay? It is very, very important because if your hands are not in view, you might even face a disqualification. Okay? So if you didn't know, now you know. These are all the basic information that I had to share about IELTS speaking part 1.